You throw another moon at me, and I'm gonna lose it.
Stark.
You know me?
I do. You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
My only curse is you.
All that for a drop of blood. You have my respect, Stark. When I'm done, half of humanity will still be alive. I hope they remember you.
Stop! Spare his life, and I will give you the stone.
No tricks.
Where is he? Did we just lose? Why would you do that? We're in the end game now.
Inevitable.
Welcome to the Mr. Pictures channel. Today, I'm going to bring a story entering the MCU, where many interesting points will be brought up, about an alternative version of Tony Stark with gold armor to fight an intergalactic threat. Let's get straight to the point. Tony Stark's last legacy, awakening at the end of the universe. Tony Stark opened his eyes and blinked several times. The last thing he remembered was the snap of his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet. He had defeated Thanos. He had saved the universe. But then, he died. Or at least should have died. He stood up slowly, feeling the weight of his own body. But something was different. There was no pain, no burns, no damage caused by using the gauntlet. Where the hell was he? Looking around, he realized that the scenario didn't make sense. The sky above was an infinite void, filled with stars that seemed to pulse in unknown patterns. The ground beneath his feet was not Earth, but a metallic surface, shiny and cold. Welcome to the end, Tony Stark. He turned sharply. Before him, a tall man dressed in a white robe was watching him with an enigmatic gaze. His skin seemed to be made of light, and his eyes glowed as if they contained entire galaxies. "Who are you?" Tony asked, feeling his mind already starting to work on 1,000 hypotheses. The being smiled slightly. "I'm the Watcher." Tony crossed his arms. "Okay, is this some kind of post-mortem delusion? Because if it is, I have to say I was expecting something less depressing." The Watchman remained expressionless. "You're not dead, Tony Stark, but you're not alive either. You were pulled to this point in time and space for a greater reason." Tony frowned. "And what would be that reason?" The Watcher took a deep breath before speaking. "You saved one universe, but in doing so, you doomed another." Tony was silent for a moment. "You'll need to be more specific." The Watcher extended his hand, and a holographic projection appeared. Tony saw distorted images of a reality he didn't recognize. Cities were on fire. Fallen heroes lay in ruins. At the center of it all, man in gold and black armor, raising a handful of cosmic energy. Tony's blood ran cold. He knew that armor design. It was his. "This can't be real." The Watcher looked directly at him. "This is a version of you, Tony Stark. A version that realized that to save the universe, it was not enough to destroy villains. It was necessary to rule everything, to be the only absolute truth." Tony swallowed. "And you want me to fix it?" The Watcher nodded. "You are the only person who can stand up to him. You must stop his own rise to power." Tony ran a hand over his face and laughed humorlessly. "Great, now I'm hunting the evil version of myself. This sounds like a typical day in my life." The Watcher watched him for a moment before speaking. "This will be your toughest battle, Tony Stark. Because to beat him, you'll need to be more than Iron Man." Tony looked at the projection of his corrupted version and took a deep breath. He had faced gods, titans, and aliens, but he had never faced himself. And that was a problem. Returned to the battlefield, Tony felt an energy envelope his body. Before he could react, he was pulled into the dimensional vortex created by the Watcher. In the blink of an eye, he found himself in a devastated world. The air was heavy. The smell of destruction and blood permeated the environment. And then he saw it. On the horizon, an immense golden palace rose in the center of what was left of New York. Technological towers floated, drones patrolled the sky, and giant suits of armor marched like armies. And at the top of that empire, he was there. Tony Stark, or rather, Doom Stark. The alternate version of himself, who had abandoned all morality and become the supreme ruler of the multiverse. Tony clenched his fists. He needed to find allies. He needed to stop this. Because if I couldn't, humanity would no longer have hope. The golden path. The golden armor gleamed under the cold light of the universe. Tony Stark traversed the far reaches of space, his thrusters propelling him to a destination few would dare visit. the domain of the Celestials. He needed answers. How to defeat the version of himself that had become Doom? The stars became blurs as he accelerated, guided by ancient coordinates that were stored in his armor. Finally, after what seemed like hours, he arrived at the scene. The Eternal Abyss. A formless void where only those who had transcended mortality could enter. Tony took a deep breath. Okay, Celestials, I hope you're home. He landed in the center of the void, and as soon as his feet touched the invisible surface, the universe around him distorted. Suddenly, he was in front of them, the Celestials. Their colossal bodies shone like living stars, each of them representing a force beyond human comprehension. Arishem the Judge was the first to speak. Iron Man, why did you come to us? Tony wasted no time. Then, I need to know how to defeat Doomstark. He is collapsing the lines of the multiverse and intends to rule everything. I need a way to stop him. The Celestials remained silent for a moment. Then, one of them, Exitar, the Executioner, replied, "You'll never make it alone." Tony frowned. That's not a helpful answer, friend. I need something more specific. Arishem tilted his head slightly. Doomstark has become an entity beyond human understanding. He has absorbed powers that have made him an absolute being. If you want to defeat him, you will need strengths beyond your own. Tony gritted his teeth. So what do I do? Sit and watch as he rewrites reality his way? It was then that Exitar said something that made Tony shudder. If you want hope, you must turn to those who were once by your side. Tony was silent. Those who were by your side. He knew exactly what that meant. The Avengers. But they were all dead, right? Or could it be? He felt a spark of hope. If there was a chance, however small, that his former allies could help him, he needed to try. Wasting no time, Tony activated the thrusters and left the Celestials' domain. He had a new goal. Bring back those who could prevent the multiverse apocalypse. And if that meant defying the laws of time and death, so be it. Tony Stark was ready to rewrite history. The return of the Avengers. The Golden Armor's engines roared as Tony tore through the vastness of space, his mind racing with the impossible idea the Celestials had suggested. Reach out to those who were once by your side. But how? The Avengers were dead, scattered, or simply unable to face a being like Doomstark. He needed something more. And then, an idea emerged. If Doomstark had learned to manipulate time and space to shape the multiverse to his will, so could Tony Stark. His calculations were bold, bordering on insanity. But he had no choice. He would defy death itself. The first target, the god of thunder Tony, adjusted the coordinates. Destination: Asgard. Or at least what was left of it. With a sonic boom, he tore through Earth's atmosphere and into space, heading towards the wreckage of Asgard floating in the cosmos. The rubble of the ancient home of the gods still glowed with the golden energy of the destroyed Bifrost. But Tony wasn't there for the wreckage. He knew that if there was any chance of bringing Thor back, he would have to look to Valhalla. The idea seemed absurd. Valhalla was not a place accessible to mere mortals, but Tony was not just any mortal. With his enhanced golden armor, he activated an experimental technology, Dimensional Tier. Let's see if I can force my way into the House of the Gods without getting kicked out. A portal began to open. A furious, golden vortex expanded before him, revealing a realm that no human should ever see. Valhalla. He took a step forward and fell. When he opened his eyes, he was standing on a golden field, under an eternal sky of battles. Ancient warriors, legendary figures. And there, in the center, raising his hammer in a toast with the fallen, was he, Thor. Tony approached. The god of thunder turned around, eyes blazing like raging storms. "Stark! How the hell did you get here?" Tony smiled. "Long story, But in short, the universe is screwed, and we need your hammer once again. Thor stared at Tony for a moment. Then he threw his mug of mead aside and picked up Mjolnir. Then let's crush Doom. And a new Avenger had returned. The second target, the soldier and the King Thor and Tony now had a clear goal. They needed to find other allies. Next destination, Wakanda. Vibranium technology could be the key to bolstering the resistance against Doom Stark. They landed at the gates of Wakanda, only to find the kingdom shrouded in shadow and silence. Tony felt a chill. That doesn't feel right. Thor swung Mjolnir, ready to fight. It was then that a figure emerged from the darkness. Black Panther. But it wasn't the same T'Challa that Tony knew. This Black Panther looked older, darker, and carried the look of someone who had already seen the end of the world. Bill Stark, you're back. Too late. Before Tony could ask, something moved behind T'Challa, a colossal shadow, a figure with a vibranium shield split in half. Tony's eyes widened. Steve! Captain America stepped forward, but something was wrong. His eyes were empty, his uniform torn, and when he spoke, his voice was just an echo of what it once was. Doom is already among us. Terror ran down Tony's spine. They weren't just late, Doom had already arrived first. Continues. Will Steve be corrupted by Doom? What will happen to Thor and Stark? Click the like button so you don't miss any videos. Until next time, bye.